You're watching Force 13's live streaming service. Tropical Storm Hone headed for Hawaii on today's live tropical weather bulletin. And now the latest around the wide world of tropics. Tropical weather bulletin for August 23rd. So we have a few storms active now. We have Gilma, of course, still a very powerful Category 3. Hone, yes, it's there. And Tropical Storm Shanshan in the Western Pacific. Still ex-Ampel up there as well off the northern coast of Alaska, still traceable at 72 degrees north. It's day 84 of the Atlantic hurricane season and we have no areas of interest, which is excellent news. The Atlantic is, for now, a quiet basin. As we know, all the activity is elsewhere. It's in the eastern and central Pacific now. On day 101 of hurricane season, Hurricane Gilma, Tropical Storm Hone, ex-Ampel, still technically the East Pacific, and one area of interest at 70% chance out towards the east. Still remarkable, and obviously threats to Hawaii. Tropical Storm Shanshan, of course, is also a threat towards the Japanese islands, the main islands, early next week or by the end of the weekend. It could be a powerful typhoon by the time it gets there. Looking towards the North Indian Ocean, we have tagged another area of interest, a small 10% zone that could be emerging off the coast of Western India early next week. Going to be watching that one for potential development. Seems low chance at the minute, but it could be a big rainmaker. And in the southwest Indian Ocean, there's no areas of interest. You can still see some spirally appearance there from what was 90S, that system that we briefly designated as a tropical depression. So there it is. Let's take a closer look at some of these storms then. Shanshan is currently located here to the west of the Mariana Islands, 539 kilometers from Pagan, 544 from Alamagan, 550 from Sarigan, 808 from Iwo Jima, and 2014 kilometers from Tokyo. That storm is slowly moving northwest at the moment, has been very slow, and is intensifying 60 miles per hour now, possibly stronger. And wait for it. Where is it? Oh, there it is. It's Hone. Now, people might be wondering why there's a big fuss over this. For those who aren't in the know, we have been waiting 1,775 days for this storm. It is 1,405 kilometers from Hilo, 1,580 from Kahului, 1,736 from Honolulu, 1,904 from Lihue, and 2,887 from Johnston Atoll. This will cut off very abruptly now as we switch over to some more imagery once that finishes up. Let's switch over now. So here we are then, taking a look at a live look across the tropics, looking at mainly the eastern Pacific there. It's Hone, and it's finally formed, and our team are here right now as well. Hello to you all.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Ronnie, I'm home.
Yes.
You're Hone. You're Hone.
It's Tom Hone.
Now, for those who are wondering, I haven't shown myself yet. I did say a while back, about a year ago now, that whenever Hone formed, because it was becoming such a monumental occasion, that I would wear a wiener costume. So, here I am. Hello everyone, this is Force 13 Live. My name's Nathan Foy on this live tropical weather bulletin as we track Tropical Storm Hone. Now it is somewhat serious, I know it's hard to take me seriously like this, but it is a potential threat to the Hawaiian Islands, could impact the Big Island with tropical storm force winds, could even become a hurricane before it gets there. But if you're wondering about our what's the word, our reputation or whatever, this will only be a one-off, okay? I will not be wearing this again. So we're going to leave it right there, and hopefully you'll see me only little bits of me here and there whilst we talk to everyone else. The chat is just insane.
Well,
I don't think you come on the screen now.
Farhan, hello.
hello. It's been an occasion. I was here when the joke first started with Hone. 5 years, almost 5 years ago, which is absolutely incredible now. It has finally happened. The jokes is off, and so, well, yeah, it's a big occasion. I've seen like lots of people has turned up. It is a big event because Hone, although as you said, bringing ourselves to serious terms once again. It is a threat to the Big Island of Hawaii. The cone of uncertainty have the southern tip of the Big Island of Hawaii within it, and so it is possible. And how much damage it do, well, we don't know about that. But it could be a tropic storm, could be a hurricane. We don't know at this point in time. And of course, the Storm Shanshan over is a threat to Japan, and it seems like current projection it seems like to be saying that Japan cannot dodge this bullet this time. Although of course it is still quite aware for those forecasts. So whether or not that will happen or not, we shall see within the next 2 or 3 days.
This is the JTWC cone that I'm just shrinking down right now so that we can see it all. So there it is, calling for quite a strong landfall in Japan that you can clearly see there. At least category 3. What's that landfall intensity? I'm just trying to get this. 90 knots, yep. And then moving inland. What an interesting track that would be. And for those who are watching as well, there's tons of stuff going on tonight. We've actually got a special trailer premiere at the end of our bulletin tonight, and we're also throwing a little party for Hone in the Discord server, so you can take a look at that as well if you want to join in. Discord.gg/Force13. That was the voice of Jack in the background. Hello.
I actually showed up.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Welcome.
I've actually just... Right now I'm in bed on my phone because I turned off my laptop. So I've just decided to join for like 3 minutes probably.
All right. Good stuff.
Hone.
Let's see if we can talk to some other people on the chat right now. Christian, you're here with us too tonight. Your thoughts on this storm and the dreadful wait that we've had for it. Do we have Christian? I think we've lost him at the moment. Let's talk to Ethan then. I'm sure you've been waiting as much as anyone else. And you're just excited about the Eastern Pacific in general, right?
Not really. I'm
Not
more...
really.
My eyes at this moment are
On
obviously...
Gilma.
My biggest eyes right now are on... No, actually. It's actually on Shanshan.
All right.
This
Okay.
is...
Oh, that's
I'll
very
get to Shanshan here in a minute because
Sure.
Gilma will take me very quickly. What a hurricane this is, especially during or over the conditions that the storm is over right now.
We got
I'll
some
just
back in
look at
background.
the sea temperatures underneath Gilma right now. They aren't very high. They're only 28 degrees Celsius right now over
Yeah.
the storm's immediate path. And in the next 12 hours, they drop down to 27 degrees Celsius. So for a storm to reach, honestly, this intensity and this slow of a mover is quite incredible.
It is a slow mover right now, isn't it?
Yeah, per the latest NHD advisory, it's only moving west-northwest at 7 miles an hour. And
Yeah,
it might even be slower than that.
I had it pegged
And of
at
course,
5
right
earlier
now-
today.
Of course, right now the storm is with winds of 125 miles per hour, pressure 955 millibars. There is some hints that it might even be a Category 4 right now. I would rumor that it honestly is. But regardless of the fact, it's going to weaken over the next few days. And it could be a threat towards the Hawaiian Islands. Now, to what extent, we don't know. Let's get through Hone first. But Gilma could cause some rough weather after Hone moves through in the Hawaiian Islands. Let's get through Hone first, and Gilma has to get to the Central Pacific first. Whenever it gets to the Central Pacific, that's when we'll have a much better idea on what we could be seeing for impacts from Gilma in Hawaii. But Shanshan right now absolutely needs to be the main talking threat. Not Hone, not Gilma. Shanshan is the real deal. We have not seen a storm like Shanshan in years. This is very rare stuff that we're going to be seeing with Shanshan. A major typhoon, probably, maybe even a Category 4 making landfall in Japan. Yes, this is a very real possibility. And there's some model runs even throwing around that the storm could get towards super typhoon intensity. I'm not kidding with this.
This could be one of the most northernmost landfalls in history.
Yeah, this could be a very real deal. I just want to just put this out there. Right now, the JTWC is only forecasting 120 miles an hour, but there are some model runs that have this storm getting a lot stronger than that. I'll get to the model runs here in a minute. But obviously, the conditions are what we need to look at for Shanshan, and they are absolutely ridiculous for this storm right now.
Is that right?
Sea surface temperatures of get this. Right now, it's underneath 30 degrees Celsius waters, and they warm up to 32 degrees Celsius as it gets closer to Japan. These water temperatures are running as much as 5 degrees Celsius above normal for these areas around Japan. That is absolutely ridiculous for the sea surface temperatures for this far north. I can't remember that I've ever seen this kind of thing this close to Japan. Only thing really stopping this storm, I think, is going to be wind shear, I think. I think it's going to be a little bit of a problem for Shanshan, but if I was in Japan, I'd absolutely be preparing for a very significant impact from this storm. This is going to be a very big deal.
This is imagery of Shanshan right now that we're just pulling up. And you can see throwing about tons of convection. It is and has been heavily sheared in the last couple of days, but it wasn't expected to intensify very quickly in this early phase. It's when it gets on the move and heads towards Japan itself over the weekend.
Yeah, wind shear is going to remain a problem for a little bit. Right now, shear is 15 to 20 knots over the storm, so it is going to remain a little bit of an issue for the time being. Though once we get towards the 25th on the UTC clock, that's going to be Sunday over here in the U.S. I imagine it'll be probably Sunday afternoon over there. That's when shear will start to drop considerably. And that is unfortunately when the storm is going to be pushing off towards the north. And once we get towards the afternoon of the 25th on the UTC clock, I'm not sure what it is over there, probably morning of the 26th, this storm is going to be in near no wind shear conditions. And unfortunately, that's going to coincide with this storm likely rapidly intensifying at that point, probably getting close to Japan. And as it moves into Japan, wind shear only increases up to 10 knots. At least that's what the models are currently forecasting. So obviously this could change, but wind shear for now is going to be a main inhibitor. But I mean, storms exiting wind shear, we've just seen what they can do with Gilma.
Yeah, Gilma's doing quite good. Of course, the strongest storm out there, and of course the development of Hone. Let's talk to Justin if we can. Hello, Justin.
I just have to get this out of the way. Honey, I'm home.
No.
Anyways.
Oh my god.
But I just had to get that out of the way real quick. Yeah. I actually have a question for you, Nathan. When was the last time we had Hone as a name officially?
This is the first ever time Hone's been used.
It's the first time.
Oh, wow.
Right.
Yep.
We were talking about Ima.
This is why we've been waiting for it for so damn long.
The last named storm was Ima, which happened in October of 2019. And things were much different back then here, at least.
Well, that explains why when I tried searching it up on Google earlier, I couldn't find it.
Oh, there you go, yeah.
Well, yeah, of course it does.
Definitely not. Just a reminder of that cone. Looking back at Hone's cone there. Calling for a fairly close pass to the Big Island as a tropical storm. Sunday morning, they're saying there. That's, of course, local time. UTC, that would be well into the afternoon, evening.
You're still wearing that costume?
Yeah, it's for the whole stream.
Oh my.
Oh, also,
we can't afford for this bit of tomfoolery because every storm is a long ways from full land, guys. We can't afford to do this for this
Storm
one
is heading
time.
for
Okay,
land.
calm down.
But
Oh, they're so far away, all of them.
off topic, real quick.
Yeah.
This is non-tropics related. We have a confirmed tornado warning on the Kansas-Colorado border.
Wow.
Thought I'd mention that real quick. There was a land spout reported.
How interesting.
You're probably wondering why I am so stinking ticked off about this. I said that I'd be waxing my legs if Hone formed this year. So
have fun.
This is why I don't take any random stupid bets like
they
that.
can be a bit. I mean,
enjoy yourself. I guess.
I mean,
I just went up.
I said
I'm one hairy guy, so this is going to suck.
Well, I said I would do this.
I could already hear the screams from here.
Ooh. I said I would do this after 4 years of waiting because it had been so long that we had to commemorate it somehow. You know, it's just crazy. It's one of the biggest Central Pacific gaps ever, really. Certainly going.
Is it the biggest?
Certainly going back to the early days of satellite.
Is there a reason why the Central Pacific is so like?
All right, yeah. We're gonna. I wanted to make a feature on this to sort of explain why we haven't had Hone for so long, because there's been several near misses, hasn't there? Who wants to tell us about that?
Yes, way too many.
Greg last year.
I should know. I know a lot. So.
Yeah.
So obviously,
go ahead.
Obviously, the most recent, really close instance that we have of a near Hone kind of event is honestly, I think, is last year. I think it was when Greg was.
That's right.
Was happening, right? Yep, Greg got named literally, I think, at like 139.8 degrees west.
It was about 10 miles from the.
Yeah.
From the
Yeah,
threshold.
it was really close.
Line.
And then, of course, you had
the Hone
you had
line.
completely unofficial, but you had in 2021 you had Tropical Storm Omais from the Western Pacific.
Yes,
that was probably a storm in the western part of the Central Pacific.
The GMA post analysis.
Once again,
I
just need to point out on this imagery that we're currently looking at Gilma, just to avoid confusion. Go ahead.
I just want to say that
Go ahead, Farhan.
Oh boy, this is a mess because everyone is here for Hone. Okay, what I was about to say is that in the GMA postseason analysis, they did ascertain, in their opinion, that Omais was already a tropical storm within the Central Pacific. For what that's what I want to say.
Really?
There you go.
Nathan, people in the chat with how Greg was like 10 miles from becoming Hone.
Yeah.
People are saying in the chat, I hate Greg with all my guts. Greg, I still hate you to this day.
Get over it,
They hate
guys.
Omais as well.
Get over it, guys. Hone is now here. You can now party in peace. I don't know.
Yeah, we can finally say that the joke is now officially over.
The joke is done.
And we're
It's
really
over.
thankful when that happens.
Yes, we're gonna have our little hootenanny, and then we're gonna be done.
Yeah, it is a
The joke's
hootenanny.
gonna be over.
We're gonna throw the little party there on the Discord server
also,
afterwards, and then
I'm
we're
gonna
gonna be
I'm gonna just
gone.
get this out of the way. For those in the chat who are confused, yes, Greg was named as a tropical storm at 139.8 degrees west.
Ouch. That
For
really
those who
upset a lot
are
of people.
all like freaking out in the
Let's
chat.
get
right now.
It upset a lot
let's
of
get-
people.
Chat's just going crazy right now with all this.
And then what's the next name
let
of the
us
Central
do-
Pacific?
Iona. Let us get all this
Iona,
jokes over with, though,
yay.
because we do have a very serious threat, and that is Shanshan, and I have the latest auto runs, Nathan, if you'd like to go over that.
Not yet. Just wait a second. I just need to read out a few comments from earlier shows of support. Thank you very much, by the way. Appreciate it. Lufthansa A300 said earlier, we got Hone before GDA 6.
Yes, we did.
We seem to be
Yes,
getting
we
everything
did.
before that. Luke Lawson
Hone
just
before
dropped a comment saying Hone. Great. And Hurricane Alternate Bronze said, are we excited that Hone formed and we're going to do a track animation? I'm sure we will be doing a track animation, but it's not as exciting as we were hoping because it is going to be a potential land threat. But let's now go over to Ethan, who wants to show us the latest runs, and we'll be showing our other runs as well on this later. But your view on Shanshan on the HWRF model?
Shanshan.
Well, first off, we're going to go to the GFS first off.
Well, I'll be showing that later, so I'll take care of that.
I think my wind gust parameter thing is broken too. Let me make sure. Yeah.
Just go on over to the HWRF one.
I won't have the scale that you will have, unfortunately. Here's the HWRF for Shanshan right now. And you can see it remains fairly weak initially, but then once that wind shear drops again on Sunday, wait for it. There it goes.
Oh yeah.
There goes that pressure down, and you can see as it pushed off towards the north here down to the 940s. How low does it get? 930s even. And look at that wind speed up there. That is a probably a category 4 there even.
Yeah.
And then some. There's a clear category 4, and as it gets closer to Japan, watch this. This is quite alarming here. 120 knots as it gets closer to Japan. High 920s even on pressure. And even maybe getting up towards super typhoon status. This is 125 knots, 925 millibars.
Oh dear.
I cannot say the last time that we had storm. And look at this. This is a category 4 with still mid 920s in the pressure, really close to the Japan coastline. The last time they have had a storm, the last time that they have had a storm even remotely close to this strong and even stronger than that is Vera. They haven't had anything, the strongest storm, I think like the second strongest storm to make landfall besides Vera officially is probably a low Cat 4.
Now
they have not had a storm like this in a very, very long time.
Vera was overestimated at landfall, but it did have a pressure of 929, so very comparable with the pressure there.
What about Cat 5?
I just looked this up. Vera was all the way back in 1959 as well.
Mm-hmm.
The
only other one that you could say is possibly Shirley in 1965, another strong one.
This is according to the Wikipedia article. Vera peaked at 190 miles per hour with a pressure of 895.
Justin, Nathan just said that's probably overestimated because
not the peak, but the landfall.
No, the landfall.
Oh, the landfall. Okay, yeah.
Peak wasn't.
Yeah.
I don't think.
I do want to show the simulated HWRF satellite imagery.
Wow.
Obviously, this isn't going to be a rough African representation of what's going to happen. This is basically a model run saying that this is what I think is going to happen. Don't take this with absolute certainty, but this is just what the HWRF is saying. And you can see here, look at how large this storm gets too.
Wow.
This could change, obviously, but this is a very real satellite picture that we're seeing based off of the HWRF as it comes in. Now, obviously, like I just said, this could change, but I'm just trying to state a very real possibility that we could be seeing with this storm. This storm could be one for the record books for Japan. I want just to hone in how bad this storm could be. This storm could be very, very bad for Japan. I really hope that people will prepare adequately for this storm. They have not seen something like this in years. I do apologize if I seem like that I'm repeating myself or sort of doomcasting a little bit.
No, you're fine.
I'm trying to just state the danger with this storm. It is extremely high for this ceiling for this storm intensity, and even it could honestly even get to category 5 if it wants to.
The problem is
wait.
I personally hold on that.
Quick question: If Shanghai, I can't say it. If it does become a Cat 5 and hit Japan, will that be the first Cat 5 Japan landfall?
Well, officially no, but we
Officially
disagree
no.
with the official for theory.
But if I had to guess, probably because wind shear as the storm is going to go into landfall is probably going to come up a little bit. We're probably not going to see the storm make landfall at its peak intensity. It's probably going to be a little bit prior to landfall. Now the question is, will that wind shear be enough to weaken it, hopefully by maybe 15 miles an hour or more? Probably not. But we'll have to wait and see. You know, this landfall is still 5 days away, so we have a lot of time for things to change. We have a lot of time to watch the storm for what it will do. We have time for things to change, and we have time, most importantly, to prepare.
And that's the reason why I would be a bit more skeptical than you,
exactly?
Because it is still 5 days away.
Where exactly is in Japan is landfall expected?
I just want to show this right now. We're looking at the ensemble spread. This shows how uncertain the track is still at this point. It could still be anywhere from Kyushu all the way to Tokyo. And the timing at landfall, there's a big discrepancy there as well. Some have landfall as early as Monday evening local time. Others have it as late as Wednesday evening. So that's a big difference. Obviously, if it was a later landfall, gives the storm more time over those extremely warm sea surface temperatures to intensify. As for that landfall location, it is extremely close to where Vera made landfall, on that southern tip, and I forget what the region is called. Anyone know?
No.
Wakayama, I guess?
No idea. What was... Do you have an idea?
Was it the Wakayama prefecture?
It is.
Okinawa?
It is Wakayama, actually, yes. That's that area.
I was just asking that question as someone who's been to Osaka and Kyoto, which is sort of slap dab in the middle of the southern end of how do I say this? The southern end of Honshu, and that's where landfall is at least predicted somewhere. Someone who's been to that area, that's actually quite scary.
You got any other
interests there need to be prepared like now. You need to start planning
landfall. Well, you need to start your preparations now. Landfall's not for another at least 5 days.
Well, yes, it's good to have a plan in place.
Any other models to show us, Ethan?
Yes, it will be a minute. But to answer your question, Christian, right now landfall looks to be just southeast of a town called, I hope I pronounced this correctly, Tanabe.
Let me look this up. Tanabe, Japan or something.
But on this map, it's going to be right around is where landfall is.
You mean Tanabe?
Tanabe,
Yeah.
Tanabe.
Suisami?
I think. It's in Wakayama.
Yeah, it's in the Wakayama prefecture.
Yeah, Tanabe. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, hey, at least for anyone
I do want to.
For anyone
I do want to pull up the. Go ahead, Justin.
Yeah, for anyone, I was just saying, for anyone like in this call right now who has trouble pronouncing Japanese cities, you could just always ask Christian because he knows how to pronounce most of them.
Do I?
They sound like Spanish names.
They don't sound Spanish.
Not really.
No, Japanese sound like wildly different.
Wakayama is south of Osaka, if that helps, and most people know where Osaka is.
All right, Ethan.
Speaking of Osaka,
second largest population area outside. It's the largest population area outside of Tokyo.
Speaking of Osaka,
Yep.
Osaka's probably going to honestly get the core of this storm if the current GTWC forecast track verifies.
I've been to Osaka. That's quite scary. Like, you know, the place that you've been to is beautiful. It's beautiful. It's lovely, and the weather's
It's also a major port hub for shipments as well. So if Osaka were to get hit, it could disrupt. It could really disrupt shipments for a lot of the world too.
Now, obviously. Osaka is a fair bit inland, and obviously it's high up in the mountains, and we know what mountains like to do tropical cyclones, and they appear to be on our side. So hopefully Osaka won't be too bad, but still, Osaka is still, the storm is going to be moving at, Nathan, like 40 miles an hour plus whenever it comes in.
Oh, I don't know.
As it moves off towards the northeast. I mean, it's going to be moving at a good clip. We can say that.
Obviously,
obviously things won't be, things won't last too long, hopefully, in Osaka. But again, probably the main threat with this storm, as per normal, is going to be the rainfall threat, I imagine, probably.
Yeah,
It's actually
and
not
again,
going
that's-
that fast. On that forecast cone there, it's moving at 19 kilometers per hour at landfall.
And I just add that. Can I just bring up again, like, what's the name of the airport? Kansai Airport. It's it's
That's
literally
only
yes,
12 miles
that's
per
famous
on
hour.
that's on that is sea level. That is practically like they built like a mini island in the sea just for the airport, and that's at sea level. So that's going to get flooded.
Right.
If the storm surge is anything to be reckoned with.
Okay, we're looking at another model now.
Yeah, so this is going to be the HAFSA model run. I have to warn a lot of people here.
Uh-oh.
This is going to be an extreme case.
Oh, I just
of
saw
what
that.
This is going to be an extreme high upper end forecast. I've already seen it, believe me. Things aren't going to be. This is going to be accurate of what's going to happen. Okay, it's basically saying the kind of conditions that this storm could be dealing with, and it's going to be quite strong, believe me. So as the storm moves off towards the north, you can see it has a brief hiccup as it encounters a wind shear over the next two to 3 days, and then it takes off. And then it takes off quite alarmingly. There's a 180 miles an hour right there. And then it weakens a little bit.
I'm sorry.
Maybe due to
What?
our replacement cycle. And
Yep.
then as it moves further off towards the north, it intensifies once again and makes probably a Category 5 landfall in Japan with winds of 165 miles per hour.
Oh,
Earlier
no.
model runs have this storm with winds of
Yikes.
190 miles an hour making landfall. So
This is like a worst case scenario right
Obviously.
here.
yes, this is a worst case scenario. This is not going to happen, obviously, but this is just in a very extreme case. And this, honestly, if I was living in Japan right now, this would be what I would prepare for. We all, in the weather world, we all say we all hope for the best, but prepare for the worst.
Hey,
And
Ethan.
that is going to be a very true thing with this storm. You absolutely need to be preparing as if we have a Category 5 typhoon heading your way. This is the kind of storm that Japan is going to be dealing with. Obviously, not of this intensity. Probably a little bit weaker than that. Probably if I had to make a forecast right now, I'd probably only forecast probably a low Cat 4 at this moment.
Is that?
But obviously,
You literally just answered
obviously,
my question. I was about
hang
to
on,
ask
guys,
you
hang on,
about
please.
that.
Hang on, please. But obviously, I would still get that a wiggle room, and that would be a low to mid confidence on the intensity forecast. There is still some chance that it still go up a little bit on my intensity forecast. Obviously, I just said 130 miles an hour, 115 knots would probably be my forecast. It still could go a little bit higher than that, obviously, but at the same time, there's still some wiggle room that it could go down a little bit. That's what we're hoping for. The lower the intensity forecast, the better for this storm. We have to wait and see on how this storm pushes on through the wind shear over the next 3 days, and how it unfolds afterwards. With these storms, especially whenever they have this kind of conditions that these storms are going to be in, all that it really needs is 12 hours of that condition, and it can go probably from a Cat 1 to a Cat 4. So we've seen what these things can do. We'll watch it over the next few days, and we'll have a much better idea on the intensity forecast probably come this weekend for Japan.
I think that
And again,
JTWC cone is good so far.
And that model there, where does that model take the landfall?
West.
The landfall is it's going to be a fair bit west of where the JTWC has the forecast landfall.
Right, I need to bring
Unfortunately,
up my
that would
maps
put
again.
that would put Osaka pretty strongly in the core here.
I mean, just
again.
eyeballing that. That looks pretty damn close to Kobe.
Yeah, it is.
I'm just pulling up a map here, and I mean, it probably goes through Kobe, but there's that little island just to the big island, I should say. I think it's called Awahi Island.
Awaji.
Yeah,
Awaji.
to the west of Kansai Airport, that big island. That's the landfall that it makes landfall.
Awaji. All right, and then I need a closer look at that.
Now,
So that's
Ethan, now
Awaji,
if-
and that keeps going further north
And Awaji is mountainous,
into
too.
Akashi. Does that go further north into Akashi then?
I don't know, but if the storm comes into this, with at this track, even not this intensity, maybe even a little bit weaker than this, this is going to be major surge problems for this section of the coastline.
Yeah, I was about to
And again,
say,
and that section of the coastline,
that's huge
that's where
surge there.
that's where Kansai Airport is. So like that's what I'm worried about.
Yeah,
That's
there's a major city right here of my cursor called Wakayama. I think that's how you say it.
Yeah,
that town, if this track verifies, could be in serious trouble.
Rewind, everyone.
Where the storm
is, got a lot of uncertainty right now, and what I want to point out, Ethan,
5 days
is
out,
that
so,
earlier
yeah.
on in that cone there, there's obviously the part where it goes further west and then starts to make that turn. That part in particular has the most uncertainty. I'm seeing 1 or 2 models, the Icon most notably, which is slowing down the storm when it makes that turn. It swings right over and actually goes towards Tokyo instead from that point.
Yeah.
So interesting.
That is entirely possible. Tokyo is still within play for this storm.
Tokyo, yeah, absolutely. I mean, that, according to the JTWC code, that takes landfall, if my maps are correct. Again,
Also,
Shirahama, if I'm correct, at least.
I believe so.
Somewhere like near Tanabe, and then Minabe, Inami, that kind of area.
All right, more discussion on this in a second. I just want to point out for those who are joining us, the latest news that Tropical Storm Hone has formed. Because it's been such a joke for the last 5 years waiting for the storm, they've got me here in a wiener costume. Here we are. And we're also joined by Cesar as well.
It's
Sorry,
a hot dog
I just want to
costume.
talk to Cesar whilst we've got the chance.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hello, Cesar. Welcome.
hello guys, thank you. Just want to point out what Ethan said earlier that the scenario that represents Shanshan, it's something that could possibly happen since we've seen actually with Typhoon Ampil getting so strong with very high latitude, and that is something that could happen with Shanshan as well. That it's something that it doesn't really happens usually in the Western Pacific Basin. So of course a worst case scenario could be possible, unfortunately for Japan. And about Hone, well, it's been a while waiting for that storm. Of course, the GFS model was predicting earlier than actually that system could form or even get a tropical storm status before reaching the Central Pacific Basin. It didn't. Now we have Hone, and let's see what happens because it has potential to actually make landfall in the main island of Hawaii. So
Possible.
let's see what happens.
And everyone's
Nathan.
saying that I'm a weenie. Yes, for one night only, everyone. Weenie.
It's fine, everyone. All the storm are either far away from land, which there's still a lot of uncertainty about them. It's fine. It's only a one-off. Just calm down, everyone. It's fine.
Yeah.
Justin?
I actually saw like probably minutes ago in the chat, someone was asking that if you were getting hit with the remnants or Ernesto.
Oh, that happened the last night, I think it was. So actually getting hit with a bigger storm tonight than we were last night after Ernesto. We should be getting gusts into the 50s, I think it was.
Yeah, what's the name of this storm that we're currently being affected by? Lillian or something?
I don't know. I don't follow that.
Yeah, Lillian. Yeah,
I think it's Lillian. I think. But that's UK windstorm naming for you.
You know what happened? The remnants or Ernesto hitting your last night was the appetizer.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is our main course, and like over here in the UK, obviously this is our 12th named storm. This is like apparently, according to the Met Office, our most active windstorm season. With the previous season, I think being 2015, 2016.
Well, I don't remember any of the other ones.
Which had like 11 storms. Went up to the K name. We're now up to the L name.
I don't remember any of the other ones, to be honest, but
neither do I.
There we go. Ethan's shown us that cone as well, showing the wind fields there on that forecast.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment on this real quick, and I'll make some further remarks on Hone here in just a minute as I finish with this. Unfortunately, my software doesn't have the forecast cone. I think it's very interesting. It has Gilmas, as you can see, but it doesn't have Hone's. I'm not sure why. But you can see here the southern tip of the Big Island of Hawaii as it stands right now, is actually forecast to get tropical storm force winds. So chances are, whether or not it will be tonight or maybe sometime tomorrow, my guess is they'll probably do it tonight, local time in Hawaii. They will probably issue tropical storm watches for the Big Island of Hawaii and probably some more islands if I had to guess. So there is a real chance of some tropical storm impacts in the Hawaiian Islands. We still cannot rule out a landfall either. Albeit a northern outlier would take the storm over the Hawaiian Islands. The northern end of the forecast cone is something like this. So there is still you have a lot of coastline here of the Big Island of Hawaii that is still at risk, and it still honestly could shift northward. You can see here the forecast models do at this point. It does appear that the bulk of Hone at this point will pass, thankfully, to the south of the Hawaiian Islands. So, if the storm does get to hurricane status, just to comment on that here in just a minute, it does look like that the core of the storm will rain further off towards the south. Now, that does not mean that Hawaii will still not get impacts. Hawaii's still going to get the rough surf conditions. They're still also going to get heavy rainfall and the tropical storm force winds. So this is still going to cause some impact in Hawaii. Though, is it going to be anything like, say, Iniki in 1992? Absolutely not.
Well, it's definitely not that bad. Iniki was a Cat 4.
I want to break in this information. The ATCF has just updated, and Gilma is now at 105 knots and a pressure of 959 millibars.
They put it down.
Yep, and Hone is still at 35 knots, but the pressure is down by 1, so it's at 104 millibars right now.
1004, you mean?
Also, looks like the part of Hawaii that would get the biggest impact, potentially the biggest impacts, is a pretty sparsely populated area because it's mostly volcanoes and just a few towns dotted in between.
Yeah,
so you're looking around the Kau Forest Reserve and Manuka State Wayside.
I really don't see any reason for them to lower the intensity forecast, the current intensity for Gilma. I mean, I'll pull up the loop here, courtesy of Tropical Tidbits. I mean, obviously, the eye is degrading a little bit, but cloud tops overall are cooler around the storm on all directions. I don't really see any reason to drop this storm down to 120 miles an hour yet.
Not sure. It's time to take a look at all the worldwide models now, or the worldwide forecast, back in Weenieville here. So let's take a look at what the GFS has planned for these whole areas there. Yes, thank you. The Atlantic then, let's take it straight out from day 0 to day 16. Does anything form? Ooh, no. Some little things try and form in the upper latitudes there, but really... Oh, there is a little system, a wave trying to develop there in the Caribbean towards the end of that 16-day period. But in general, the Atlantic is looking awfully quiet, which is nice. East Pac, of course, with these 3 systems, the 2 formed storms now, and the area of interest behind it. There's Hone moving straight towards Hawaii. Tropical storm force winds for a time. Hurricane force winds, if it does become a hurricane, should stay offshore. Continuing west-northwest was after that. Gilma, a larger system, but weakens a lot by the time it gets to Hawaii. Barely even a TC if it is by that point. Strongest winds will stay to the north. Third system behind it becomes another mature hurricane there as well, and moves up, recurves a lot more. In fact, it does move due north at the end there, and then turns and then goes back. It actually does still hit Hawaii in the end as a very, very poor remnant. And finally, of course, Shanshan. This is the GFS outlook, which we saw. Well, we actually haven't seen this one yet, but there it is. Powerful typhoon calling for a landfall in a similar place as to what those other models were showing. Again, Wakayama moving northeastwards by then. Strong, at least category 3, moving inland and then continuing off. What happens after that in the Western Pacific? Do we have tons more slop? Let's have a look. There's one system that tries to form. Yes, it does. And actually, that's a landfall in Hokkaido, I think. Northeastern tip of Hokkaido. There's a transitioning storm. Then 2 more behind it. This is into the long range now. But look at that. Every storm is hitting Japan. If that turns true, that would be 4. Well, really, if you talk about ample, 5 Japanese impacts in, that would end up being like 3 weeks, I think, 3 or 4 weeks. So
all in a row.
Very long range though. Let's see if we can spot that Indian thing that we were tracking. You'll see it along that west coast. There it is, starting to get that rotation, and there is a brief little chance of tropical cyclone formation right up there in the Arabian Sea, very far north. Could it happen at this time of year? It probably would happen there if it happened anywhere. And then some very broad goings on in the Bay of Bengal doesn't manage it. Anything else in the South Indian Ocean? Nope. After that little shocker last week with that, what we called a depression. Just to be sure, let's check the South Pacific. Australia, nothing going on here. Could it be the South Atlantic's turn? Nope. And the Mediterranean.
The South Atlantic.
Good old Mediterranean as well.
Why are we
not
checking
really.
the South Atlantic and the Mediterranean?
That's what I always do when I do my...
Why not? It's a worldwide view.
Every T-Coast fix looks at those areas, just to be sure. But no, nothing on that forecast. So basically, it's all Pacific-based is what we're expecting over the next few weeks, and I'm a little bit surprised by that.
So what does Storm Lillian look like on the GFS run then?
Oh, you want to look at that?
Yeah, I want to look at that, even though my stream is a few seconds behind.
So this is what they call Lillian right now, which is a little... if it had a centre, it would be here, just off the coast of Ireland, or possibly a little bit further east there. And it moves through the UK over the next 24 hours, and along the coast of France, Belgium, Netherlands, and towards Norway, Denmark, and Sweden. Some significant winds. You know, that is some gale force winds there. Let's try and grab a little reading. Nope, it won't let me. No, it really won't let me.
Oh, it sweeps straight through my area. Great.
50 miles per hour probably for the southern
You
UK.
and Nathan.
So that's that. And just to show you what winds the GFS is showing for the southern part of Hawaii. In fact, it does barely get the tropical storm force winds there, barely. And a final look at Shanshan again near its landfall in Japan. How strong is that? Looking at it, eyeballing it, probably a Category 3 high end. And 112, that's a little bit low. It'll be higher than that. That's just the GFS. It lowballs these numbers usually. Pressure, though, at the peak is 944, which is definitely a Cat 3 pressure. Back to some shots of Gilma right now. Just got a few minutes left here, guys, and then we'll be doing On This Day. And stay tuned, everyone, for the end of this stream as well. We've got an exciting trailer coming up for an upcoming feature that we're expecting next month. All right, so team...
Can I just come up with a bold claim right now?
Oh, dear.
No.
Oh, boy.
I think Hone shouldn't be a hurricane.
Why?
What?
Who?
You think Hone should be a hurricane? Really?
I think Hone should be. I think Hone is going to be a hurricane whenever it passes near Hawaii.
It's
right now.
It's possible. It's possible.
Yeah.
And let me prove my case. So here is the HWRF model run for Hone that I've got on my screen right now, and you can see that it forecasts even a strong Category 1.
Yeah.
And even then some as it passes south of Hawaii. So there's that. That's forecasting a hurricane. Here's the HWRF. Even that forecasts a mid-Cat 1 hurricane passing south of Hawaii, and obviously it weakens a little bit as it passes, towards the west of the Hawaiian Islands. It weakens a lot. So there's one more for a hurricane. The HAFSA model run, even that forecast maybe a brief hurricane. There's that. So there, and then maybe intensifying a little bit more as it exits Hawaii. The HAFSB model run, if we really want to showcase this, even that forecasts a hurricane and maybe even a strong Category 2. Obviously, I wouldn't take this with any amount of certainty for this one.
We saw the GFS. That's a hurricane. So,
Yeah.
what was the CPHC's reasoning then? I know this was mentioned in the chat earlier.
Let me read their intensity forecast. This is what they say. Hone is expected to remain in an environment of low to moderate vertical wind shear, warm sea temperatures between 27 and 28 degrees Celsius, and in a sufficient area of deep layer moisture over the next several days. That's supportive of intensification right there. This should support gradual strengthening as the system moves in a steady westward direction. We already know that. Late in the weekend into early next week, the system will begin to encounter an increase in westerly wind shear and possibly some drier mid-level air. This should lead to gradual weakening of the system. During the intensity forecast is close to the intensity consensus during the next several days. They did good on that. But here's the interesting thing. They say after that, they say bringing the system up close to hurricane strength over the weekend, with the forecast lower than the consensus guidance by days 4 and 5. That is it. They don't allude on it and on why they went lower than the intensity guidance. They don't realize. They didn't say anything else besides that. That is it for their intensity forecast for the CPHC. I don't know why they've done this kind of skeptical thing, where they're not really realizing that the system is probably going to be a hurricane, especially whenever every single mesoscale model and the GFS has a hurricane. I mean, if you ask me, I'd probably forecast an 80-mile-an-hour peak for this storm right now. Probably at the, probably the 72 to 96-hour forecast point as it stands right now.
As it continues strengthening, I'm sure they'll change their mind. We just haven't spoken properly to Kin yet. Hello, Kin. Your thoughts on Hone? The King girl?
Yeah, I'm just having fun with Hone, and it's probably time for the memes to die.
After tonight, it is going, and we're very thankful for that. It was such a massive meme in the first place because it's been so damn long. 1,775 days.
I remember you saying that you're going to talk about why is that the case? Is there still time for you to do that?
Talk about what?
Why the Central Pacific is so barren of storms?
Well, we sort of touched on it. We were talking about the Greg incident, the Omias incident. There were one or two other systems that some argued should have been subtropical, in fact, we designated one or two subtropical storms in the upper latitudes, which they always ignore, don't they? So
but history.
we must have had 4 or 5 nameable instances, or nearly. Certainly at least one of them should have been Hone in the last 5 years.
Yeah, it should
have. It was just short of 5 years. It'll be 5 years. October, was it the 13th?
Also 13th. One of the two.
I
believe
I was a young lad when we started waiting for Hone.
I believe in 2022.
Now real quick.
Yes.
Real quick, some people might be asking, well, why has the Central Pacific Hurricane Center missed some of these storms in the past few years? I think part of it can partially be contributed to the fact that the Central Pacific Hurricane Center is so horribly understaffed. And plus, when you look at the National Hurricane Center's staff they have over there, they're obviously at the NHC with degrees in hurricanes, specifically, and just for that heavy emphasis on the 4 hurricanes part. And when you look at the Central Pacific Hurricane Centers, technically internally in Hawaii, the CPHC doesn't actually exist. It's actually technically a sub. I don't know how to say this, but a sub-region of the National Weather Service office in Honolulu, actually. So you have meteorologists who are trained on everything and not just for hurricanes doing this kind of meteorology. So obviously there is going to be some things that are going to be missed and some things that are going to be a little bit off because of that. I think that's probably just one factor, maybe a minor factor in it. Obviously there's probably going to be some other factors that I don't know about, but that is obviously just one instance that might be preventing them or hindering the CPHC's ability to forecast these storms on a much better scale. If you can say that. No shame, of course, to the CPHC.
I've seen people argue that the National Hurricane Center just took over, just like they did with the Eastern Pacific Hurricane Center back in the 90s. I've seen some people argue that because of all this.
Maybe. Guys.
EPHC did much worse than the CPHC is ever doing. I mean, EPHC missed a lot of Category 5s.
Oh, I don't know. A few. Not as many as you think, I don't think. That's my opinion, though. Guys, we've got to end it there, I'm afraid. We've had tons of discussion from the team there. Of course, I dressed up as a weenie, and we've had all kinds of stuff with the formation of Hone. Now, if you like this live Tropical Weather Bulletin, there's more to come, because we are anticipating a move to live Tropical Weather Bulletins every time, starting in by the end of September. We're hoping to start that up. So that's what we've got to look forward to in the future. Now let's take a look at what happened on this day. If I can get this working, hopefully a bit like this. Yes. August 23rd, 1979. We had 2 Category 3 storms in the Eastern Pacific, Enrique and Fefa. But the more important storm was Judy in the Western Pacific, a Category 2 at this point, as it was approaching the coast of Asia. I can't remember exactly what it did. I was just having a brief look at it before. I think it did go on to affect those areas as a typhoon. Certainly looked the part on that imagery. Impressive stuff. Yep. So we are code orange. 41 storms so far this year around the world. In the Atlantic, the next name is Francine. In the Eastern Pacific, it's still Hector, and that's because we've got Hone.
Hey, Nathan.
Yes.
And in the Central Pacific,
we have one coming up for tomorrow. On tomorrow's date in 2005, Hurricane Katrina formed.
Oh god. Yagi is next in the Western Pacific. Ramal in the North Indian Ocean.
You skipped over the Central.
I didn't. I said Iona is next in the Central Pacific. It is. One day. In the Australian region, next name is Robin. Southwest Indian Ocean is Ansha. South Pacific, it is Pitta. Stay tuned. We're running a little trailer in just a second for an upcoming feature that we're doing on Force 13 in September. Hope you enjoy it. But we're signing off here from Force 13 HQ.
Fan today.
They don't have even a nearest clue on how strong that storm is.
They said there was warnings, but evidently they weren't anything that any of us would be hearing.
So we reached the 3rd floor. Basically, the house began to wash away under us.
My uncle ended up floating on the roof of an outhouse.
The downtown section of Providence, Rhode Island was submerged under 20 feet of water.
What happens when a Category 5 hurricane races towards the US East Coast at 50 miles per hour?
Well, another wave struck and then they were all just scattered.
This is the story of one of New England's most fiercest hurricanes.